Welcome to the Fit Dad Nation podcast, forging strong fathers and raising a stronger generation. It's time to get up or shut up with your host, Steve Roy.
Hey there, guys. Steve Roy here, host of the Fit Dad Nation podcast. Welcome to the show, and welcome to episode 160. To be honest, I'm surprised that I've done 160 episodes of this. It's kind of funny because I'm not much of a public speaker or someone that really likes the spotlight. I don't particularly enjoy sharing my personal life on social media, just in general. But the path that I've chosen, which is an online business and building a coaching business, it's kind of comes with the territory. So I'm just happy to be doing these shows. You know, I think about it sometimes, and I know some guys that do podcasts, weekly, and they have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of downloads. And when I think about that, I kind of think, you know what? I don't really need to reach millions of people. I just need to reach you. I've kind of built my business I guess I could relate it to like a boutique shop where I prefer to do business on a more one-to-one or a small group setting where I can actually build relationships versus how, a lot of people do it, especially in the fitness spaces, run a bunch of ads, create a bunch of sales pages, run a bunch of traffic to it, but you never get to see the person that is behind it. You never get to see the coach, and a lot of the times you just end up with one of their minions. You don't actually get to talk to the head honcho or the person you think you're hiring. It's someone that they're paying, $15 an hour to or whatever to farm out the information. And I'm not saying that's wrong. That's how a lot of business is done. I just personally don't like that. That's just not how I like to do business. So anyway, that aside, the reason I'm mentioning that is because, we've done 160 episodes, and I just want to continue to do these, and hopefully they're reaching you on a personal level, because I'm just kind of sharing my experiences. I've been doing this for a very long time, and it's just something that I love doing. I love helping people, helping guys turn their lives around. So, with that said, I want to talk about something a little bit different today. So a lot of podcasts, shows, social media, whatever, it's all revolved around how to get fit, right? I mean, obviously, when you're in the fitness space as a fitness coach, you teach how to get fit, right? So today I'm going to just kind of reverse this and talk about how to stay fat forever. And so what I'm going to talk about is I put together this list, about 15 things here, that if you follow them, you're pretty much assured to be overweight, fat, out of shape for the rest of your life. I say this kind of jokingly, but it's true, because as I go through this list, you're going to be like, oh shit, that's me, 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 right? You're never going to succeed with your health and fitness, at least not on a grand scale where you feel like a different person. And that's kind of the goal with this, right? If you're 40, 50, 60 pounds overweight, you've carried it for a long time, you feel like shit. I have no doubt about it. Your joints hurt, you're weak, you're tight, you have no energy. I completely understand that, right? And it sucks. So when you hear these things, just please, think about them and recognize that I'm saying this not to put you down or judge you or anything like that. It's to tell you that because these things are part of your life and have been, you're not going to get better, right? You don't want to lose 5 pounds and say, yippee, I lost 5 pounds, now I can go celebrate. No. You want a life transformation, because that's what we all want, right? If you have 60 pounds to lose, you want to lose 60 pounds. But more importantly, much more important than the scale, it's how you feel about yourself, of course, how you look, but all those things wrapped up translates to, confidence, your ability to be a better father, husband, and all those other things. So it's really a huge deal to aim for making a life-changing transformation. Okay, I'm not getting ready to pitch you on a transformation contest. I'm just saying when you take on something like this, I would definitely not suggest saying, well, I'm going to lose 5 pounds, and then that's, I'm going to be happy with that because I just really want to lose these 5 pounds, right? No. You want to be a different person because you want to feel better, you want to look better, you just want to fucking kill it, right? You want to feel awesome. There's a few people that I can think of, clients that have gone through this and literally their whole life is different. And that's, unfortunately, in the minority for people that do that. A lot of people, a lot of my clients, a lot of guys in the groups and different things have made progress only to give it all back and then end up where they were before or close to it. And that's not what we want to do. That's not what I want for you as a coach. And it's tough. So I'm going to go through these 15 things here, and these are the things that are going to keep you fat forever. So you can look at this list, you can write it down, and you can say, all right, I'm not going to do this anymore, right? And ideally, none of these things will be on your list because they're all hurting you, all of them. And this is no order. I was going through it. I was just, giving it some thought. And so this isn't any particular order. And this also isn't geared towards people that have legitimate hormonal problems. This is for the vast majority of middle-aged dads who are overweight, out of shape, and pretty damn miserable because of it and have been for a long time and want to change. Number 1, diet hopping. So just jumping from diet to diet, shit does not work, right? You have to figure out what works for you, right? And so you see all these fucking diets all over social, the news, Dr. Oz, that fucking idiot. It's sickening, but there's that little glimmer of hope every time we see something new. The cabbage diet, the sweet potato diet, anything and everything has been tried. I've talked about this before, but I swear, if I wrote a book called The Red Onion Diet, I just made that up, and said the key to losing weight is replacing breakfast and lunch with 2 red onions and then have a normal dinner. I guarantee there'll be a lot of people that would try it because people are stupid. But more importantly, people desperately want something that will work. And so if I said, it has all these properties and phytonutrients and blah, 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 that's why it's going to curb your appetite and you're going to lose weight and no, you're going to lose weight because you're not eating enough food because you replaced 2 full meals with an onion, which has hardly any calories in it. That's why you're going to lose weight. It's not sustainable. It's not healthy. And unfortunately, it would sell because I guarantee I could find 100 people, put them on this diet for, let's call it 90 days. And I'm sure if they followed it closely, they would lose a bunch of weight. I would use those stories as testimonials as to why this works. I would put it into some kind of fancy sales letter, sales page, sales copy, send it out, blast it out, send out emails, send out ads, litter social media with it, and people would go apeshit and buy it, and I would make a bunch of money, right? That's probably how it could go. That's how a lot of this bullshit works. Sadly, it doesn't work long term, right? Yes, you're going to lose a bunch of weight. You're going to be miserable because you're stuck eating an onion every day, a couple onions, and you're missing out on 2 full meals, and it sucks. You don't want to do that, but people will try it. People will try literally anything. There's some trend on social. People are drinking their own piss, like a lot of it. It just blows my mind. They're like, well, it's got everything you need. Forget about protein shakes. Forget about, red meat. Just drink your own piss. I mean, come on. Like, this is out of control, but people are doing it by the thousands. They have groups, Facebook groups, dedicated to the people that do this. It's fucking weird, and people will do it, though. So anyway, my point is, stop jumping around to things that you see are hot or trending, and just focus on regular food, like good quality food that is good for you. Right? Eggs, fruits, vegetables, right? Lean meats, stuff like that. Followed closely by my second point is following somebody else's diet, meaning your buddy Kevin goes on a diet. He bought a book at Barnes & Noble. He promised a bunch of weight loss. He lost a bunch of weight on it and told you about it. You're like, oh shit, Kevin, you look amazing. He said, yeah, I lost 35 pounds in the last 2 months following this. Really? What is it? Well, I fasted for 20 hours a day, and I ate whatever I wanted in those 4 hours. That's how I did it. Oh shit! I got to do that. I got to try that. I'm going to do that. Right? Problem is, unless you are completely mentally strong to handle this and prepared to be hungry all the fucking time, this is going to be a nightmare for you, right? Because most of us are used to grazing, snacking, and I'm not saying that's good, but we're used to it, eating 2, 3, 4 meals a day, right? So all of a sudden, when you can't eat for the vast majority of the day, you're miserable. It's miserable. Okay, sure, nothing wrong with fasting per se, but this is just an example. So you're going to try to fit your crazy busy lifestyle. You're on the road, you're eating out, you're doing these things. All of a sudden, you're like, no, I'm fasting 20 hours a day, right? And will it work on paper? Sure. If you followed it, you would probably lose weight, yes. But at what cost, right? You're hating your life. You can't enjoy anything anymore because it all revolves around starving and then trying to jam in as many calories as possible in 4 hours, which is another task, right? You end up at some Golden Corral buffet or something trying to eat 4,000 calories. So don't worry about what your friends are doing. It's a very personal thing on what particular approach to eating works for any particular person. There's so many factors that go into it. Just congratulate them and find your own way. Number 3, not strength training. If you're not strength training, you are absolutely missing the boat. You're doing your body a huge disservice, especially as we get a bit older. I just turned 51. Have to make strength training the priority, not cardio, not conditioning, not walking, not hiking, not biking, not kayaking. It's strength training. 3, 4, maybe 5 days a week at the most of heavy, mostly compound lifts training. Make it progressive, get stronger. That's how you do it. A press, a hinge, a carry, a lunge, a squat, right? Stuff like that, a deadlift. That's all you need. But so many people, so many guys too, instead, because they don't really want to do the strength training piece of it, maybe they don't know enough, maybe they're not sure what to do exactly. Instead, they just wing it and do a little bit here, do some curls, do some lateral raises. I'm not going to do legs. No. I run on the treadmill. I walk on an incline. That's how I do legs, right? You've heard that a million times. I've heard that's nonsense. No matter what your goal is, losing weight, getting muscular, getting fit, running, whatever. It doesn't matter what your goal is. The priority is strength training. Absolutely get behind a solid strength training program. Number 4, not being consistent with the basics. You guys know this extremely well because you're not consistent with the basics. That's just getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, getting enough sunshine, lowering your stress to manageable levels, finding a way to manage that, right? Those are basics, right? That we've talked about this stuff before. It's not very exciting, but the basics are where it's at, right? Just following those things, huge. But instead, most of us are sleep deprived. We stay up too late watching, our screens. We drink very little water. We're not getting outside enough for fresh air, sunshine, and we're not managing our stress because we don't have an outlet for it. A lot of us don't have an outlet for it. And so we're carrying it all internally, which causes all kinds of problems with our hormones, which can lead to, as you know, all kinds of problems, not only with your weight and having a more difficult time losing weight, but, ultimately stressing you out and killing you, right? I mean, that's a very real thing. And I've honestly been there. I felt over the last 10 years through my divorce, through the custody battles for my daughters and some other things, there have been plenty of times where I felt like I was going to just fucking die of a heart attack because the stress was so powerful. Like you can almost feel the cortisol just surging through my veins. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to find a way to get past this and manage this, or I'm going to just have a heart attack. So a lot of us live that way. It's not that uncommon. Number 5, being in the wrong environment, meaning if you're in a relationship, you're in a job, you're in a family environment that's hurting you because it's it's counterproductive to what you're trying to do. Maybe your spouse doesn't support you because they're overweight and they don't want you to lose weight secretly, or not secretly, because they don't want you to be fitter than them, or they don't want you to get attention from the opposite sex or the same sex, whatever. If you're not in a positive, supportive environment where you can actually succeed, you are going to have an extremely difficult time. Like if you desperately want to make a change, but you work as the manager of a Wendy's or a Kentucky Fried Chicken, how hard is that going to be, right? If you love that food, you're around it 8 to 10 hours a day, extremely difficult, right? That's an extreme example, but more often than not, it's you live in a household or have a job or both that it's just much more difficult for you to live healthy. Let's say your family eats like absolute shit. You eat out all the time. You eat junk pasta, just junk all the time, right? And they don't want to change. Your wife doesn't want to change. Your kids will do what you want eventually, but that's extremely difficult. You can't just snap your fingers. Yes, can you do it? Yes, you can have your own shelf in the house. You can cook your own meals and cook theirs separately, right? That does work, but not for very long, because it's very strong to suck you back down that hole. And ultimately, we're going to take the path of least resistance because that's how we're wired, right? We don't want to have to make that special trip to the store, every couple of days. We don't want to have to prep separate food and then spend another 20 minutes cooking our own foods and then turn around and cook their foods, right? Again, I've seen it work, but it just doesn't work long term. It's too hard. And again, I'm not saying that hard is a bad thing, right? We need more hard in our life, but that's not how we're wired. We're wired to want easy. So let's make it as easy as possible on ourselves to succeed. And being in a shitty environment, it's not going to happen. An example, when I was married, the marriage was extremely toxic. I had 2 little girls. I worked a job for 8 to 9 hours a day that I literally hated. And I was extremely stressed out, very unhappy in the marriage, in my job. I felt completely hopeless and trapped. Now, do you think I went out of my way to train my ass off, eat high quality foods? No, fuck no. I drowned my sorrows, because that's the way I saw it, in Red Bull, Snickers bar, pizzas, any garbage, McDonald's, whatever. That's where I got my little slice of happiness, was the sugar rushes or the salt rushes, right? That's how I found my happiness. And I'm not saying this is right. I'm not saying anything other than the fact that that's what it was. And more importantly for you, a lot of you are doing that. So please understand, guys, I'm not saying get a divorce, leave your wife. And of course not. I would never want anyone to go through that, especially not the way I went through it. But I'm saying if you're in an environment that's hurting you, you have to find a way to make it better, or you're going to have an extremely difficult time. Next up, self-sabotage. Another big one. We don't think about it. A lot of us are either afraid of a failure or afraid of succeeding. For this is a big conversation. I'm not going to get into it, but those are very real things. Fear of success, fear of failure. And oftentimes when we start seeing progress, we don't feel like we're worthy, or whatever. There's a conversation going on in our heads that says, stop, back it off. You're not good enough. You can't do this. What happens if you do this? Then what? And we're going to have to maintain it. What does that mean? Right? There's so many questions, and there's just so much uncertainty in that realm that we end up secretly, a lot of times we don't even realize it, that we just slip back into some old habits that are sabotaging our results. You find excuses why you can't make it to the gym. Your mind tells you you're starving and you have to have some blueberry Pop-Tarts. Those little things add up quickly, and before you know it, your results are starting to disappear and you ultimately quit. Be very mindful of this. This is a good topic actually for another show, but not today. Next up, I've seen this a lot with clients. Following your program, whatever you have, in place for yourself, based on your day-to-day feelings. So this is just a recipe for disaster, because so many of us are torn and pushed in so many directions and have so many different emotions all the time that any given day can just mean I'm not going to do it. And that's how a lot of us live, is you wake up, you're stressed, you're behind your schedule, you're overtired, you're starving, and then you're like that. You give yourself permission to do whatever the fuck you want, and it derails what you had in mind and what you wanted to do for your goals. You can't follow your program based on your feelings. I'm not saying they're not important, but I'm saying you have to be more disciplined than letting your feelings take control of your actions. Next up, another big one, giving up before you can see any results. Very common. We're kind of sold this idea or notion that we can get results really, really quickly because we see it all the time on TV and movies, social media, all that stuff. It looks like it's not only possible, but easy to get really fast results. And so we start doing the things that we think we should be doing, which, oftentimes aren't even the right things to be doing, but the results don't happen fast enough. And you're like, well, why am I sacrificing all the things that I love? Why am I busting my ass here in the gym if I'm not getting the results I think I should have? And guess what? You say, fuck it, I want to go back to eating whatever I want and sitting on the couch or doing whatever I want to do. And then you quit. Extremely common, guys. You got to give it time. This shit takes time. Okay? It's not an exact science of all the different moving parts. It has to be exactly correct. Start moving more. Start pushing heavy shit around until it's not heavy anymore. Walk more than you sit. Eat like you give a shit about your body, right? Start stretching, moving, and just be smart about your daily lifestyle habits, and you're going to see results. Might not happen in a week, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, but it will happen if you do the right things for your body will reward you. Keep that in mind. Next up, following the standard American diet. If we're going to rely on the government or any food agencies to steer us in the right direction, we're going to be extremely disappointed. It's a fucking joke. The food industry doesn't care about our health. It cares about making money. We've seen this time and time and time again. The food pyramid is ridiculous. Don't even worry about any of that bullshit. Standard American diet is horrible, full of processed garbage, chemicals, antibiotics, everything else you can imagine. God knows what else is in there. Just be smarter about what you're eating. Be a little more conscious. Do you have to eat everything organic? Of course not. Not necessary at all, and it's just really expensive on top of that. But I would say just start using your head when it comes to that. Next up, you're going through the motions and you're doing it for the wrong reasons, and meaning you don't have a why, as in, why do I need to do this? Why is this so important that I get off my ass, get to the gym, start actually caring about what I put in my body? Why is this important? Most people won't take the time to figure that out. They'll just kind of go through the motions. Well, I ask this question a million times, and they're like, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds. Well, why? Why is that important? How is that going to make your life better if you stand on the scale and it says 220 instead of 240, right? Is it cool? Sure. Does it make you feel better? Sure. But really, to what end? Like, how is that really important? No. You want to be able to say, I feel amazing, and I don't want to die when I'm 58 years old, like my father did of a heart attack because he had diabetes, high blood pressure. He was really, really overweight. He smoked. He ate fried chicken and all this other shit all the time, and he keeled over and he died when he was 58. And now I'm 48. I have 10 years. Do I really want to die in 10 years, or do I want to actually be around for my kids to see them have kids of their own, right? That's a why, right? Just saying I want to lose 20 pounds is not a why. It's not going to keep you in the game. It's not going to keep you inspired at all. So figure that out. Next up, having no plan. You cannot wing it. Can it work for beginners? Yes. Like if you're new to fitness or you've had a long layoff, you can pretty much do anything that challenges your body in some way, and you're going to see results. But that doesn't last very long. So find a plan. Find some way to stick with something that makes sense for you. Hiring a coach is a great idea. You can always reach out to me at steve@fitdeadnation.com. I'm happy to talk to you. If I can't help you, I can certainly send you in the direction of somebody I think that can, but get a plan together. Next up, being an emotional eater. We all eat on emotion, all of us. We're controlled by emotions. Extremely common to be, kind of eating during stressful times. Boredom, late at night is the big one, right? These are emotions, right? We get tired or we get stressed out is a huge one, right? We're busy at work. We're stressed at work. You turn to food, right? Boredom isn't, that's being an emotional eater too, is you're bored. So you want to eat something, right? You have to be very careful with this stuff, guys. Be mindful of it. Ask yourself if you're really hungry. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll go to grab something and then I'll say, wait a minute. If I eat this, it'll be great in the short term, but I'm going to give myself 5 minutes, wait 5 minutes. If I still want it in 5 minutes, maybe I'll have it then. Sometimes just a glass of water or a piece of gum does the trick, and I don't have to eat those 300 or 400 calories that I didn't need before, which could be the difference between losing weight and gaining weight because of the calorie deficit. Next up, you are weak mentally, right? You have to have some kind of mental strength to stick to something that's completely new to you, where it's challenging you, it's different. You have to be somewhat strong there. And a lot of us, we're just not. We're weak. We're weaklings mentally. Obviously physically too, but mentally. You have to work on that. Again, this is not the show to talk about how to build mental fortitude, but it's an extremely important topic. A lot of us just give up at the first sign of resistance. We're just not ready to commit to anything unless it's super easy and it falls into our lap, right? Our society is like this. It's made us soft and weak. It sucks. But it's the way it is. Next up, we're full of excuses. This is a big one, guys. All the shit. Now, I've run countless surveys and polls and things asking for feedback, and I always get the same shit. I don't have any time. I don't have any energy. I don't know where to start. Right? I heard this a million times. Now, these are all good excuses, of course, right? We can always find a way to quantify those, but they're still excuses, right? You're never going to get ahead. You're never going to get those goals that you really want to get if you're full of excuses, right? A lot of us are just, and I've been there many times. I'm just full of shit. You're just full of shit. You make up reasons why you can't do it, why you shouldn't do it, why you won't do it. You have to get over that hurdle and just realize, you know what? I am just making excuses. And if I want to change, which I know I do, I have to just suck it up and stop making excuses and just really get the fuck to work. Lastly, this one is really just, I'm not sure I can help you with this, but it's just very common. And I'm not saying that this is wrong. Again, I'm not judging you, but it's being just plain fucking lazy or apathetic. Happens to so many of us guys. We're in this rut, right? We're kind of coasting along in a subpar marriage. Your job is kind of a dead-end grind. Just clocking the hours until you retire in 15 or 20 years, right? It's just a miserable, or we'll call it a mediocre existence, and that will lull you to sleep and into this sense of blah. And if you get stuck there, you're not getting out. It's extremely difficult. I've been there and I did get out, but it took a massive amount of work on myself, including a divorce, quitting my job, starting a bit like big things that literally changed my entire life for the better. But the vast majority of guys aren't going to do those extreme things to make a change. And you just get into this rut and you just become apathetic. You're like, yeah, I'd love to lose 20 pounds, but I don't really want to do that. Well, I've had people, well, let's find a time, let's talk. Well, I know I need to. I'm not here to just chase you down and drag you out into the field and train with you, right? You have to want it on some level, and it has to be on a pretty significant level to make some changes. So if you're there and you're apathetic towards a lot of things in your life, including your health and fitness, or you're just lazy at this time, you have to find a way to get out of that, and you got to do some soul searching, do some digging into your psyche and figure out what it's going to take for you to change that, because you're going to wake up one day and you're going to be 65, 70 years old. You're still going to be in that same mental spot and you've missed the boat there. It's too late. So don't let that be you. Okay, guys. Hopefully this helped. I really do. If you have any questions, you want to reach out, you want to chat, you want to share your story, please find me on social, private message me anytime. I respond to all my messages. We'll catch up with you guys next time.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, if you want more information, check out the Fit Dad Basecamp group on Facebook. And don't forget to stop by fitdadnation.com. Until next time, keep kicking ass and taking the next step. You can do this, Dad.